think this, just after lunch, we'll send it to you guys, both the presentations. Right? Huh? In the last workshop, one of the participants was saying, whether I understand anything or not, at least I've got a lot of names for keeping for babies. For children in the neighborhood, somebody asked now what name to give, so. Ananyata, oneness. Chalo, anything on the screen, Drishta? Let's go back to the original thingy, because anything on the screen will make fair, then the imagination starts running in that and the questions start coming in that. So let's keep the visuals limited. Okay. So we had talked about patience, then courage and generosity. Right? Now, this much is needed to live in a harmonious family. This is the qualification, or this is the prerequisite for living in a family, in relationships. When you want to expand your living, the sphere of your living to, say, community or society, then you have to go into kindness and benevolence. And if you want to expand it to the whole humanity, then comes compassion. Right? So what is kindness? Any examples?
Would it be like giving without expecting something in return?
Yeah. But what? More specific.
Uh,
Give a,
Kindness would be giving open-heartedly something that the other person wants or needs.
yes, that is the main thing.
Yeah, what is required.
So other person can feel the need of it, but doesn't have the ability to fulfill himself or herself.
Right.
So supporting them and providing them with that, so that they can fulfill that need, that is called kindness. Right? So in the sense of body, it is somebody is feeling the hunger. The need is being felt, but they are not able to fulfill. They're not able to procure food. So giving such a person food would be an act of kindness. Right? Somebody is feeling cold, but they don't have the ability to get clothes, giving some clothes. So this is kindness in terms of body. But there will be kindness in terms of Jivan, the conscious. So somebody is feeling the need for harmony. So helping them achieve harmony. How will you help them? By helping them in learning, helping them in increasing their awareness. So providing the educational opportunities, guiding them, this is all kindness.
I'd like to share an anecdote actually.
Please.
This is a conversation that we were having in a circle where we were discussing kindness. So there was a 7-year-old boy also who was there amidst us. So when it was his turn and we asked him and he had to answer what is kindness to him, what he said was actually was a huge revelation, because he said that when people are kind to me, I feel that I don't have something and they have something, and I feel they have power and authority over me. So when he said that, it suddenly occurred to me and many of us who were there in that circle that do we really understand kindness in
Yes.
its true sense? And are we really confusing kindness with, you know, our charity
Yes.
maybe, or
Yes.
our feeling that we know more and we just have to give somebody
Yeah.
without even understanding what that person needs?
Right.
So I just felt like sharing that here.
This is a very important point, because if you look at the difference between the kindness towards the body and the kindness towards the conscious. So when you do the kindness towards the body, then you're giving them something which will fulfill their immediate needs. But when you give the education, then you're enabling them to be able to be self-sufficient. You're enabling them to be responsible. You're enabling them to be able to help others being responsible. Right? So yeah. So therefore, opportunities for enabling them to become educated and then live like responsible people is the biggest act of kindness. Then we come to benevolence. That is, yes, please. Kindness of body and Jeevan have done. Yeah.
Sir, regarding what ma'am said, that that kid said, "Ke I have something and I don't have that thing, and other person is having that thing." Every time somebody is kind towards me, so don't you think in that case our complexes are coming into play, whether it's inferiority or superiority? It's probably the intention that matters, because I know, I can say for myself that I every time I feel ke I don't have this thing and somebody is giving it to me. What kind of with the kind of intention they have makes a difference in how I feel about it. Sometimes it would just give me a feeling of gratitude that somebody gave me something. But sometimes it's just that those complexes come into play.
See, you're right, absolutely right in this, that we need to be able to read the other person's intention, but we are not aware enough to read it. So first helping them become aware in themselves how intentions are read. So that is again an educational process. Right? So without education, what you're trying to say also is not established. Right? So we have to enable people to understand other human beings. That is the real act of kindness. Fulfilling their immediate needs might be needed in those circumstances, but at times it can become pity. And pity is not acceptable to human beings. Right? This is the sense which that child is trying to communicate. I don't want to be pitied upon. But the circumstances are like this, I have no other way. So it in actually is silently saying this, don't pity me, enable me. That is what has to be understood from that. So enabling him would be providing him the right opportunity for education, making him capable of doing some useful work so that he can fulfill his physical needs, material needs on his own. So don't fill their responsibility, help them become responsible. That's the key. That would be act of kindness. Yes.
Coming to what she's also saying, I think what we are trying to infer here is that maybe we should not just presume what they need, and it is actually requires a lot of conversation maybe to understand what they need, and then support them in whatever ways we can.
That is very important again. That is again very important, because sometimes we have this thing, we have this need. Oh, I must give to someone. And then you catch hold of somebody and I want to give you this. That is very demeaning. So we need to understand. So that is why the definition she gave was very accurate. That person who's feeling the need. So somebody has identified the need in themselves and are communicating, this is my need. And you're helping them fulfill that. right? But this need is not only physical. Right now, the way we think, we primarily think in the physical needs. All our systems, all our uh, charity, this is all based in providing material needs. See, nothing wrong with that, what I'm saying, but this will never fulfill the society. We have to close the loop by providing the opportunities for right education. Without that, it is not going to complete anything. This can go on for thousands of years, and still the sense of uh, being dependent on others will never go away. The sense of I am not able to live my life fully because circumstances are not allowing me, that will never go away. So universal education is needed. Universal education of coexistence is needed for that. Universal education of study of human beings is needed for that. Universal education of coexistential human order is needed for that. Without this, it won't go away. Okay. Yes, please.
So like we hear that don't keep giving advice to everybody. So does it the reason behind or the logic behind would be that person doesn't need it, and we are giving the advice, but he doesn't need it. So it's not supporting his growth in any way. It could also be termed as not being kind.
So the language I use to address this issue is advice is not given, is advice is taken. Again, for advice, the driver is the one who is seeking the advice. If somebody comes to you seeking some advice, then you can give it. If nobody is seeking from you and still giving it, that's no point. So, like responsibility is not given, it is taken. Right now we think the other way around. When you become aware, then you become responsible about something. However strongly I impose it on you, you will never take that responsibility. So responsibility can't be given, it has to be taken. And you can only take responsibility of what you are aware in, according to your abilities. Right? So to fulfill responsibility, you need awareness as well as skills. Like for example, you become aware that our family needs food. So now you need appropriate skills to procure food items and to cook them and provide for the family. Right? Then it will be, the full responsibility will be met, otherwise not.
Another related question to this is like sometimes the elders they use the preaching that you should do this, you should not do this, this has to be done in this way. It becomes very irritating and annoying, and it just acts as a barrier to your relationship with them. You don't accept them, they don't accept you, and you see it as disrespectful also. It's a like huge barrier to like so how to like deal with the elders.
Yeah. Or any other situation, see, if you are not in control of yourself, others will take control of you. So what is taking control of yourself? You have to study yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to be aware of yourself. And then when somebody makes a gesture, then give an appropriate response, which is not going to disturb the relationship, but will bring their attention to this is not appropriate. With calmness and confidence, you can communicate that. But calmness and confidence comes from your self-awareness. When you start understanding the issues, then you can be calm and confident. Like for things we know, like some things which you are confident about. If somebody would say something about it, ki, let's do this in a wrong manner, you would calmly, you can explain, no, this will not happen like this. Like if we were to ask Sharmila, if I were to tell her how to make the lemon tarts, since I don't know, if I tell her, no, let's do this, let's do that, she can calmly tell me, no, this is not how, this is, I know the recipe, I made it before, this is how things have to be done. So you can be calm and confident in areas where you have the expertise, you have the confidence, where you have the awareness. Where you don't have any control, others, because it's a society where people are imposing their ideas on you, so you will get pressure from there. And you'll start buckling under the pressure because you yourself have not stood upon that ground yet. Right? So it's a thing of raising our own levels. Okay? Or something more?
Like some example is coming to my mind. I heard this elder person saying to another, like, because so he turned 40 and he started developing white hair. So this elder person telling him that no, you should whatever, dye your beard or dye your hair. So this really doesn't make any sense. And what can you then say to that to that person?
So when we were talking about respect, you need to respect that person first. So you have to do the right evaluation for that person. So what that person can do, what that person understands, what that person's behavior is like, what is their understanding of things like, right? So if you understand that, you'll understand, yeah, this is what they'll say. This is very natural for them to say so. This is part of their nature. There is nothing surprising. But if we don't respect them, then we'll keep complaining. We keep feeling, why is this person saying so? Because we have not done the evaluation right now. So the problem lies again with us. We are not respecting that person. See, this is also an aspect of respect.
But like that other person doesn't realize that he's crossing the boundaries with the other person.
That person is what that person is.
So when will that person become aware that
When
he's crossing the boundaries of the other person?
who is setting these boundaries? We are also breaking so many boundaries every day. Everybody is breaking so many boundaries every day. We are aware, or because some of the boundaries broken by others causes us pain, so we are aware in those. We are not aware of the boundaries we break every day. Right? The first point is we have to have a sense of what is right living, which has to be part within us. That person is like this. First of all, evaluating what is this person like. If I want to live with this person, suppose I don't want to change this person. I need to just know what this person is and then adjust accordingly. Some areas I will go closer to this person. In other areas I might have to make more distance. Right? So my life might go like coming closer, going further, closer, some sort of a motion I'll set with that person in relationship. First, we learn how to live with the people as they are. For example, if I were to start living with you, please come, and you started living with me, what would suit you? That the moment we start living with each other, we want to change each other. Or do we need to learn about each other and try and live with each other? So we first identify each other, right? Then we find out, okay, these are things, if these could improve, then things could happen. Right? So once you've started respecting each other, because of the respect, there is a space created for communication. See, whether we express our feelings or emotions towards the other or not, the negative emotions definitely get communicated. They reach the other. The sense of disrespect will go there. Sense of mistrust will get communicated. sense of lack of affection will get communicated. So then the other person also doesn't listen. The other person will do as their nature is. First, we need to examine, do I have the ability to educate them? Do I have the time and resources to educate the other person right now? Do I want to take the responsibility of that right now? First, answer those questions within yourself. If suppose the answer comes, no, I don't have the time, energy, effort, because I have to focus on my children, I have to focus on my set of responsibilities, then what do we do? Then we learn they are like this, and we have to have this dance with them. The dance with them might be different than the dance you have with your family here. You know their steps, you adjust your steps accordingly. Okay?
So what should be our responsibility for the beggars, like? So so it like I sometimes like I get in the conflict, like whether we should help and whether we should not, like like for some time they ask for the goods, like for the food, for the water, and the one day lady ask for the medicine, like, and the most of the time they ask for the money. So like for the money I deny, like I am not going to the give the money, like for the like even the goods, like I have 50-50, like sometimes I feel like we are capable of doing that, like and the thought is like we are not supporting the society as like by helping the they, because they are like their peers, like they are physical well, and they are not choosing to work. And one day I offer one person, like would you like to give some work for the money, like. So he said no, I'm not going to do that. And like then we like sometimes we become judgmental, like th- there is a case like there is someone genuine, like who needs the like food, like because of whatever reason, and we become like judgmental, like we are not going to support the this section of the society, and we deny that. And this is all the conflict that we came go through, like what we should do that.
Talking in terms of beggars. Are you talking in terms of beggars? Yes. Okay. See, we don't live in a relationship with beggars as such. Right? First of all, we must acknowledge. We are talking about this. So these are events. So one day your mood is slightly more generous, somebody approaches, you give the money. The other day you say no. What do you want to do with them or for them? Then, do we want beggars in society? Should people be reduced to such a situation that they have to beg? That kind of mentality? Answer is no. So, how can we take it out of the society? By enabling opportunities for education and learning skills and being responsible for everyone. So, we can contribute in that manner. We can help in taking education to a lot of people, to, like Sukriti was saying, to the underprivileged, right? So we can contribute. That is the way. That's the systematic approach. This is not an event-based approach. Events, though, like you are addressing in some manner. Today you're generous, you give. The other day you're not generous, you don't give. You're distracted, whatever. Right?
Sometimes we don't feel like we have that like resource, like, or we have like we could not like provide the education to like that section, like in that section we like feel like
See, you can't do it individually. The social issues, there has to be a organized effort for that. So there are many organizations in the society who are trying to do that. We can always support them. So many societies, I mean, organizations working in society for the upliftment of the underprivileged. Examine them. If you trust their work, contribute with effort, money, whatever you can contribute there. Yes.
What you're sharing is very, matlab, it touches me also because when I was in college, I was in JNU and um, we had a big, of course, these questions of how to ensure equality of education and no discrimination, opportunity to all were already sort of there. But in college, it was in my classmates, and we having a big fee protest. Why is the fee being raised? And from all sides, there were these arguments. You're wasting public money and government money and so and so. And generally, in the atmosphere, I'm just sharing this example. Generally in JNU, because it's such a politically alive atmosphere, the one thing it does for you, it does make you sensitive to the issues of people around you. But it also can like kind of overwhelm you, because you're like, should I fix this? Should I fix this? Should I fix this? What do I, expel my energies in? I can't fix everything if I keep addressing it individually. But this feast thing in particular sort of really, I was really bothered. My protest, should I go on a protest? Should I write a letter? What do I do? But I think the first step for me, and we talked about it also, was that to understand, to kind of solidify my understanding of why education needs to be subsidized. I mean, I'm just talking in terms of
Universally free.
accessibility, subsidized, free, you know, accessible. And then again, the nature of education becomes the next question. Uh, what is the purpose of education? Why should it be free? It sort of interchange. So for me, I feel that the understanding of it gives me some resolution in terms of the action. The action will follow, but the understanding needs to be complete. So in that process gives me a lot of it relaxes me a little. I just wanted to share that, because I also feel that same thing also.
So I think the distinction she is making is that initially you feel very worked up about these situations, and when you understand that, then you somehow know a little bit what you can possibly do. That is what she means by relaxing. Right? Okay. Yes, please.
Yeah. So I'm going back to what I mean. It's not what Raghavji and Veda are saying. Uh, so what I observe about myself is that anger and frustration usually, masks or deters me from uh, being harmonious or understanding the other person very often. And but then there is a guilt associated, because I want to be respectful. I want to um, be uh, maybe I want to care. I want to be helpful. However, that anger at some points is so much that it just doesn't let me. And but then because I want to, the guilt is also there. But then I feel that keeps going on in a cycle.
Yeah.
It just goes on, and then somewhere I try to convince myself that no, it is you who are being harmed in the process, you know. So my question is, I guess, how does one work around this to, and how does one work around one's anger, because it is a natural emotion too. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. Good. Very good point. So anger is a natural emotion in human beings who lack understanding, who lack awareness, self-awareness. It is natural there. When you are aware, like in many areas you are aware, you don't get angry. Only some areas where you get angry. Right? Whereas you can see others getting angry in those areas where you're not getting angry. You see, why are they getting angry? This is so simple. Right? So it's a function of your awareness in that area. Okay. So now how do we work with this? So now we know that we lack some awareness somewhere. Right? First, how do we trace it? So we use this technique. Let's go back to the, yeah. So this patience or resoluteness. So let's use this. So there is a resolve in us, like I will behave in a responsible manner. And responsible manner is behaving with calmness, taking care of my part, and I'll do this. Now, suppose it gets disturbed. I get angry in some situation because of someone's action. So now I can examine, okay, my resolve broke. So this is indication of some lack of awareness. Now look at it. Observe yourself. What is this part? Now you have a frame of reference to look at it. Okay, this is the part. What does the theory say about it? How can I practice it? Again make a resolve. Again try to practice. Then again observe. So this cycle repeat. And then slowly you come out.
So I have an anecdote to share in this
Okay.
case. So around 2-3 years ago, I was trying. My friends were going on a trip, 2-day trip, very close to Delhi, and my parents knew all of them. So I was asking for permission from them, and of course, as most of the parents, they said no. Okay, you can't go. You'll be staying away from home. This that, and even for the most logical reasons that they gave me, I got so angry that how can I'm 22, I'm 23. How can you deny me a trip? I really want to go there. My friends are going. Everyone's going. So even the most logical of reason was making me really angry, making me really frustrated. After around a month or so, I had to go for a workshop. Again, solo travel, 15 days to a very risky location. But it was something that I actually had a whole reasoning for. And my intentions were that I want to learn this. I had a very complete clarity that this is my reason. I'll get this out of it. I'll get that out of it. And for that, when my parents, first time, of course, they denied that you can't go. My conversation with them was very pleasant. It was very calm. I was not getting angry. I was trying to convince them with most decent, in a most decent manner. But when I was not clear that my friends are going, they're going to party, they're going to do this, that. At that point of time, I was not 100% sure about their intention or my intentions, so I could not convince them. But when I was clear, I had a complete understanding. My intentions were very clear that I am going to go and learn. At that point of time, my way of conversation was very different. I was not getting angry.
Yeah. Good point. So you wanted to say something, Shweta? You forgot. Okay, if you remember, then we'll come back to that. So we were talking about kindness. We talked about kindness in two aspects of human beings. One is in terms of the body, and one is in terms of the conscious jivan. Kindness in terms of that. But kindness can also be towards animals. Kindness can be, whenever expressed, is expressed in areas where it can be received. And the receiving is, because kindness is an act of the conscious, it is received by the other end conscious. So the two entities are animals and humans, which are conscious, as we talked, sentient and insentient, right? So animals are also conscious. So what are the acts of kindness towards them? So one definition is, do not disturb the development of the natural things, right? So in nature, a lot of activities are happening. Birds are doing their own thing, ants are doing their own thing, snakes are doing their own thing. Not to disturb that. That is the least amount of kindness you can do with them. But it is an act of kindness. Like in this around surroundings, there are so many living things who are doing their own thing. And they're all very useful for the ecosystem, right? And we don't have any business disturbing them, right? We don't have to kill them, we don't have to hurt them, right? Let them be. Why this is important is, like even 30-40 years back, in India itself, I don't know about other places, but here, that hunting was a sport, right? So you go into the forest and you hunt animals. As a child, we went to this Bharatpur National Park or bird sanctuary in Rajasthan, and as you enter the gate, there's a big board which said the names of this person shot 500 birds that day. This person shot 2,000 birds like this. So there were names of people of killing that much animals. These are all acts of cruelty. Right? All the life on this planet is doing its own thing. We don't have to disturb it. Right? Let it be. Second act is of kindness. This is not disturbing. Then second definition is supporting somebody in their life. This becomes relevant when we are doing some occupations in association with animals. Right? Somebody might be doing dairy farming. Somebody might be doing wool or something like that. Right? So many things. There are so many occupations in the humankind which are associated with the animal. Farming with bulls and stuff like that. Right? So how can you be kind in this? So for this we need to understand that the purpose of animals, or the motivation of the animals, is to be survive or be alive. Being alive is their main driving force. And this being alive, they exhibit in two manners. One is by doing activities to secure their bodies, and second is doing activities to secure their progeny, their children. So because they see their children as a continuity of themselves only, right? So if you watch any animal doing any activity, you will be able to see it is either for their own bodies or it is for their progeny. No third motivation you can find there. Right? So that is the main driving force for them. So now if we are working with them, suppose we are doing dairy farm and we have some cows, like we have some hair. So cows in nature on their own give a certain amount of milk, right? And that is sufficient for its calf. There is no wastage, there is nothing like that, right? But suppose you start doing dairy farming, then you get a cow, then you look after it, you change its diet, increase the milk giving things in its diet, you look after it, right? And provide it security, right? And in this manner, the production of milk in their bodies increases substantially. So this extra milk you can take. But you have to ensure that the milk meant for the calf has to go to the calf. So first give the calf its share, and then whatever is excess, you take it. Right? In this manner, you're looking after the cow as well as you're looking after the calf, which is in alignment with that animal's living. So this way, if you're doing the occupation of dairy farming, you're not violating the natural principle, according to Jivan. Right? But right now, the way it's practiced is a lot of exploitation. The cows are not fed properly, or they're overfed for overproduction of milk. Their health goes haywire. Sometimes they're given hormone injections so that they produce extra milk. The calves are not fed properly, or they're fed other things like that. So all those practices are not in alignment. Right? So the kindness is with animals as well as humans. And with animals, there are two ways. One is of not disturbing things in the wild. The other is when domesticated animals, you're dealing with them. Help them. Your association should be in support of their instinct to be alive. Help them in their maintaining their bodies and their progeny. Then you are in alignment. Otherwise, you will be committing cruelty. Right? So kindness, 4 ways. 2 in animals, 2 types, and 2 types in humans, we have seen. So 4 types of kindnesses we have talked about. Okay. Okay. Going on to benevolence. Benevolence is capacity to establish receptivity in those who have access to the content but not the. So this is the technical language. I'll simplify it for you. What does it mean? When we talked about kindness, the definition we took was somebody feels the need but doesn't have the ability to fulfill that need. Right? So helping them fulfill their need is an act of kindness in terms of humans we talked about. Now suppose they're not even aware of the need. Right? At a lot of times, we are not aware of our needs. Like we talked about human needs and we looked at like happiness and comforts or happiness and facilities. There are two needs of human beings. Right? So we are aware of facilities that we need, but how will we get happiness we are not aware of. So there are times when humans are not aware of the needs. So instilling that need in them, that you are a human being, this is your need. This act is act of benevolence. And this is also done through education. Purely through education. Instilling the need to live as a humane person, to live in humane conduct. This is benevolence. So making them aware of the need to live as human beings in humanness. So this is the capacity which you use to establish the receptivity towards the humane conduct. Humane conduct is need of everybody. We are not aware of it. So when you make the people aware of this, this is benevolence. Needless to say, this again can only be done through authenticity, not without that. So if you're not yourself living in humane conduct, you can't do this or this. These both can only be done on basis of authenticity. Okay? Any questions? So these words are very popular. We are defining them in a specific manner here in light of Jivan Vidya. So you should be, I hope I am able to communicate these, that you are able to get the meaning which we are trying to project. Okay? And the last we come to compassion. Compassion is a function of all these three: kindness, benevolence, and compassion. They come out of love that we were talking about earlier, right? So like what Gangu was saying earlier, that when you realize that every person, whether he might be in 4.5 activities or in the 10 activity, you start feeling that they are just like me. And therefore, you want to help them move forward so that they can also reach the 10 activity or have the spiritual realization so that they can live in the full responsibility, in full human conduct. So in that case, the highest contribution you can do to somebody's life is that you give them, first establish the need to be human, and then give the education for that humanness. You fulfill both the parts, that is what compassion is. Okay? So it's kind of doing kindness and benevolence together. First benevolence and then kindness. But there is another aspect to this. And the aspect is that compassion manifests itself not with 1, 2, 3 individuals, or even for that matter, kindness and benevolence. It manifests as a system. Then somebody who is benevolent will really work for education systems to be established, for awareness of education should go through, reach the maximum number of humans. So you work in a systemized manner then. You work through organizations. We work through human endeavor of cooperative action through that. So that because it needs a lot of support. Right now, most of the human enterprises are for making profit. Most of the organizations are for making profit. Right? Now, in this model, the cooperative models of enterprises would be for kindness, benevolence, and compassion. We work together to ensure the awareness of humanness spreads to everybody. Wherever there is awareness, the education is available to everybody. Wherever there is education, there is opportunity to live it fully. For this we'll cooperate. For this we'll make organization. For this we will come together. Right now, if you look at all the structures of coming together in humankind, the motivation is either war or business. There is no third kind of coming together. Okay? So these are when this becomes predominantly your nature. First these three, then these two, and then finally, this is the final journey. This is the continuity. Here the living becomes complete. So when we were talking about conduct perfection, that is with compassion. Kindness, benevolence, and compassion is conduct perfection. When that becomes your nature, that becomes your default setting. This journey starts here after your what we call functional perfection is when 10 activities have started functioning. Then you start with patience, courage, generosity. So this journey starts from functional perfection and goes on to conduct perfection. And before that, the journey of unawareness in human beings, right? But because we are a Jivan, that is structural perfection is there, but the awareness is not there fully. So we are living, though we are units of knowledge order, we are trying to live like animals. So it's called animal consciousness. Yeah, let's show that chart now. Now that we have talked about this, now there are 5 ways of living as humans on this planet. 5. So 5 categories is a strong word. It is 5 ways of living. The choice is ours. Okay?
I have a doubt.
Yes, please.
So earlier we had said that value is the name we are giving to the emotion, but like our understanding of
Not only emotions, something specific. Emotions which are rooted in responsibility and understanding. Values are emotions which are rooted in understanding and responsibility.
emotions which are rooted in understanding
And responsibility.
responsibility.
It gives us a sense of responsibility, like respect. Isn't that a sense of responsibility towards other? That I have to understand you well. Then only can I respect you. So it's not merely an emotion. Irritation is also an emotion. Anger is also an emotion. But there is no sense of understanding or responsibility there. But when we talk about trust, when we talk about respect, when we talk about love, there is a sense of, there is first an understanding and a sense of responsibility. That's what we are calling values.
Okay. I have one more question. Like, I'm stuck kind of there, like in the husband-wife relationship. So we said there is the purpose, there's a response, there's activities, responsibilities, and expectations.
Yes.
So like, how can we define some of the responsibilities in the husband? So will it be like the society will define it, or the family will sit down and define it, or the husband-wife will sit down and like what are your responsibility, and what are your expectation and mine. So
Just
like how do we define, or
7 relationships. Yeah. So
so the it sounds like something abstract.
yeah, all this is
It's
abstract.
rooted in the values,
Yeah.
which is rooted in the understanding and the knowledge, but it is not defined anywhere.
Mm. Yeah. So if you look at this, husband wife, common vision, co-creators, living with effort and essence. The message here is that there is a design for human beings in nature. We don't have to define human beings. The definition is there in nature. We have to understand it. We have to read it. Husband-wife relationship is there in nature. We don't have to define it. We just have to understand it and become aware in it. So, when we attempt to define it, when we are not able to read the nature's design, then because we have to get by, we make our definitions. They work sometimes, they don't work most of the other times. So we stumble through these relationships. So this is the common minimum program for husband-wife. Right? So there is a purpose for which this relationship is there. Right? We did talk about this in the class. We did talk about they're the co-creators. They both have the qualification of marriage is first spiritual awakening. Because you are taking on the responsibility of the continuity of the humankind as well as nature. So unless until you have understanding, how will you ensure that that responsibility is fulfilled? Right now we get married because we have come to the age. Qualification is spiritual awakening, knowledge, awareness. Before that, if you get married, you will struggle a lot more. But if you, like for example, you want to go for a job. Job requires certain skills. So if you don't have those skills, you will not be successful. Same with this. If you want to take on this role, there are some qualifications you need to have. Right? So when we understand this, we did talk about this, that they have common vision, they have co-creators, right? So, and they start as two individuals, they create a family, they have children, they have to become parents, then they have to also take responsibilities in the community and then society. And they both are doing it together in consultation with each other. They both are witnesses of each other's thinking and each other's growth and each other's support system. And this cannot happen without affection, without respect, without trust. Right? So there are maximum overlaps in this relationship. Right now, we are thrown into these relationships at most of the time. You are of age, like yesterday somebody was trying to marry off, setting up aksa with somebody. You're still on that, okay. Take the mic.
I just want to know if we'll be talking about trust because we are.
Yes, we can talk about trust. First, but we had come to that topic, we'll come to trust again, right? Let's go to the 5 categories of human beings. Okay. So there are 5 ways of living as human beings on this planet. Okay? Let's open the chart fully. Okay. These are the 5 ways. We've not given them names. Names for these 5 categories. Oh, yeah, ठीक ठीक है इधर. So, animalistic human, demonic human. Human, this is Dev human. Running out of time. That leave this on freeze and you go there. This takes up the screen. Okay, we'll think of better names. That's let's use this for the time being, right? So these are just names we are using from the language, right? Don't get disturbed by this. You will identify this with these. These 3 things are with which you can identify where you are standing. This is not for identifying others. Okay, you are the animal, you are the demon and thing. Not for that. That will only create fights. Okay? Placing yourself, where are you? Okay? So their nature is either they feel helpless, or they do deceit, or they do cruelty. Animalistic human beings are predominantly function with this. And demonic human predominantly works with this, deceit and cruelty. They are also helpless and deceitful. Cruelty is less. In these, cruelty is more, cruelty and deceit is more, and helplessness is less. So that is how we are differentiating these. They both lack awareness of, they both lack spiritual awakening, right? The perspective, what we talked under comparison, is of likes, suitability and profit. In Hindi we say priyahit labh, likes, suitability and profit. Even this. So their decision making is rooted in this, right? And their desires are in this. So their motivations, they're motivated about this. Their actions are around this. Their decisions are for having food or sex or rest or something like that. So all decisions are mostly in this direction. So in the combination of these 3, you can identify them. So the main difference between these 2 is here. They're more helpless. They feel, like for example, they feel lack of control over their lives. Right? What can I do? Is God's wish. My luck is bad. All this is signs of helplessness. Right? Huh? Yeah. So, and these believe in taking others' things. They dominate. They impose. They exercise authority, power. Right? They live in a family and boss over everybody, exploit everybody. They complement each other. He surrounds himself, he or she, with such humans, because he or she can exploit them more, can be more cruel and more deceitful to them. Right? So this person prefers to live with these, because if 2 or more of like this are there, then there are fights, lot of aggression. Right? So this is the inhuman level. Inhuman basically means, inhuman or subhuman is basically living less than a human being. And this is why it is being called animal consciousness. In this, the fundamental belief is I am a body. I am only a body, merely a body. Knowingly or unknowingly, this is the basis on which you operate. Yes, please.
So wouldn't it be relative? Like, when I am personally thinking of myself in human context, but for somebody else, I might be deceitful or helpless, or they might feel that I'm doing it for my own profit.
So what I'd say is, When you have to examine yourself, be very strict.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay? Observe yourself. Observe your desires. Observe your perspectives. How are you taking decisions? Observe your nature. Do you blame the circumstances for what's happening in your life, which indicates helplessness? Or you manipulate circumstances by deceiving people or dominating people? If these are happening, then you are in the inhuman category. But if you are patient, courageous, right, generous, then you are in the human category. So we have to be very strict with ourselves when we are doing them, and very lenient with others. Whenever we are evaluating, this is the thumb rule. Be extremely strict for evaluating yourself. That is the only path for growth. Okay. Coming to the human. This is the minimum level of living as human, as in humane conduct. Humane conduct starts from here and goes on till here. Okay? So a human, or a normal person, or a common man, or a human being, you arrive from here to here through education, through spiritual awakening. When I say education, it is spiritual awakening. We all are born somewhere here, and we have to reach here. But right now our social systems, our education, our society doesn't have the education for this or this. So we get stuck here for all our lives, mostly. So what is this like? This is, the nature here is patience, courage, and generosity. We have talked about this, right? And perspectives are of, in relationship, being just, when interacting with larger groups, righteousness, and when thinking of ourselves as a part of the human race, humankind, then truth. Right? So these are our perspectives here. But for a human, primarily justice is the main thing. And these crop up on certain events, right? But the nature is morely of using this more and more. Right? And the motivational desire for them is having educated people around them, or spiritually awakened people, not only for themselves but also for the betterment of the society, and helping people arrive there. So for this, they associate with people. Okay? And this also means that they'll need some resources. They also have the tendency to acquire resources, but this is not for hoarding. This is not for exploitation. This is for reutilizing these resources for the work they want to do for the betterment of the society and community. Right? So they do not stay away from resources, and they want people as well as they want fame. Add fame also in this. Recognition. Yeah. So for the work they do, the right work they do, the right living they do, they want recognition for that. So that need is there. Like, they want this acknowledgement from other people. Okay, you are being responsible. That is a need in them. And this can only be recognized by other realized people. So they seek company of more realized people. If there are not more realized people, then they work for creating more realized people so that we can witness each other's journey. I was yesterday talking to Gangu about this. You know, what is the biggest joy at times? Like, I'm doing this workshop with you, for me. When one of you or some of you from time to time are able to see this thing as I'm seeing it. I'm trying to communicate to you, and it clicks to you. And I can see within your expression that, yes, you have also seen this. So I'm seeing a reality, I'm sharing it with you, and you also see that reality. There is no bigger joy than that. So this is the joy they seek. This is, for this they come together. Right? So this is human consciousness. There are ways of living even above this level, which is called the, you can call this superhuman, but this term is there associated with our school of thought by Aurobindo. So she's calling it in the modern tradition of human plus plus, like C++, right? So what is this? In this, the nature is of kindness and benevolence. Here, the primary thing becomes righteousness. How we are dealing with the systems, how we are dealing with people at large, how we are dealing with society at large, how we are working with community as large. So the actions are based on righteousness. What is right for the community, what is right for the society, what is right for the nature. All these things, and approaching all this systematically. This is what righteousness. We've talked about this earlier. If there is a need, we can talk about it again. Right? And they need recognition. All they seek, they don't seek resources, people, they just seek recognition while doing all this work. And this recognition is of not for themselves as individuals. They seek recognition so that this gets established, this approach of life, this way of living, this way of understanding things, this gets established, therefore recognition is needed. Right? Then is the divine human, whose nature is compassion, whose perspective is truth, and whose motivation is only coexistence, not the transient things which are there in living. All these are transient, from here to here. This is also transient, this is also transient, this is also transient, this is also transient. This transient things are rooted in body. These are in consciousness and awareness. And he is free of even these. Free of all transient motives. The only motive is coexistence. Change, which changes with time. Right? क्या चीज? Okay. So he lives with the desire that the family is in coexistence. His primary desire is that community, the group of humans that he's living in with, they come into coexistence. And this person lives that the entire humankind comes into coexistence. Right? And this is obviously progressive, right? Once you're living here, after some time you will transition into this. You'll realize you have to. Realization is even here, what is the stages. But you need to go from here step by step to this. Somebody might want to just not go beyond this, want to stay here. These are all choices after a certain time. So wherever you want to live. Because the disciplined life of each stage is very different. This is very social life. This semi-social life. This is a family life. These are private lives. Individualistic living. Any questions? Mike.
Please, can you explain once again the resources and people in the human roles?
Right. So, when he works, right, human person, with human consciousness, then what motivates him? What does he want in return? Right? So when he's working in society, then he does want to acquire some wealth. But this wealth is not required for his indulgence. Okay, he doesn't want to enjoy food and eating and drinking and wasteful. Not for that. He acquires wealth so that he can reutilize it for expanding this humane work that he or she is doing. Right? So this is the that part of resources. In Hindi we call it viteshna. Okay. Then putreshna, the second one, which is basically having people. Now you're living in a manner which is full of awareness. You want other people to live like this. So you want the next generation also to live like this. So you start creating your interactions in a manner that people are able to see this. Right? So the people to be around you. Right? So you want people to be around you, whether they are your own children, whether they are from neighborhood, they are from the community, right? Or the youth or things. People who want to learn, who are seeking to be aware, they want they're seeking direction, guidance in life. So you collect such people around you, right? And then is the lokeshna or the recognition which you need, which basically means all this good work you're doing, the news of this has to go far and wide. How is that useful? Because if the right works information goes, oh, there is a nice way of living, we don't have to exploit, then people will get inspired to do that. So Dev Manav has the need for this recognition also. Only a need of recognition, not the other. The first one has the need for all three. Sometimes wealth, sometimes people, sometimes recognition. So their actions are basically for getting either wealth or people or recognition. Dev Manav, his actions are only for getting recognition. And Divya Manav or divine man, human, their actions are basically because this is the way. This is the way of living for a human entity. He drops all the uniqueness and just becomes a generic human in existence. That's the only motivation he has. All spatiality from his disappears. Right? Just like any unit of nature, it is just functioning. A tree is functioning like a tree. It's not concerned about its uniqueness and speciality. A river is functioning like a river. So this human being is functioning like a human being. Nothing in return is needed. That is the highest, most consciousness.
How I also understand it is that, you know, once our so how we move from inhuman to human is if our spiritual aspect is awakened.
Yes.
So we can just imagine a student has completed their education, they're young, and they're now awakened, and now they're finally reaching the stage of human. So they realize that the first level of manifesting this um, understanding, or like the first level of living, in fact, is within one's family. So one will work towards establishing stability in one's family. And for that, you need to establish, we haven't done those levels yet, but at the level of family, we need to provide for our family. We need to ensure resources that so that we're prosperous. And, so the resources and people here are in terms of setting up a family, how I see it, is setting up a family unit which is stable. So that is the first level of expressing or manifesting our awakened understanding. So that is what will motivate us in the beginning, because we know that's the first step. So that's what we'll be working towards. Once that is complete, now the family unit is stable. Now we can think of, all right, now I can participate in society, and so I will start participating and functioning in social systems at different levels, beginning with the smaller stage. And if there's some success in that, then I would like some recognition. I would require, I mean, in fact, recognition kind of also is appreciation, which validates that this system is working not just for me, but for everyone involved. And so it gives me feedback that this participation in the social system in this way is working out, and this is also manifesting the correct understanding. So therefore recognition is necessary at this next social stage. And finally, when I'm, when social stage would last pretty long, I assume, and once that participation is also done, now the systems are established, or whatever I had to be doing in them, that is established. I don't need recognition. Resources and family, the people were already established even before that. So now these are not the things that are constantly preoccupying me. I think of these as primary preoccupations, these are stages that need to be completed before I can just be, okay, now I've done all the things that I needed to actively be achieving. And now I can just be in that full guidance, compassionate role and see, okay.
There are genocides, right? There are cheating of one nation by the other nation, right? Amazing. But when we are talking in terms of young age, these are in nascent stages, very little play. But they are there, slightly. And as you grow, like teenagers, can be slightly more. But when your education is complete, if we are getting the right education, these nascent will be suppressed, and the influence of this will start coming in here, in a social environment which is based in this. Right now, because the environment is based in, this is more dominant. Once the social environment becomes like this will become dominant, and these tendencies will die in nascent stages, and this will take over. But the growth is as the age progresses, different life stages, this will go like this. Isn't this a great way to live your elderly life? From youth to middle ages, youth is like this, and then middle ages is this, and elderly age is like this. Could be. I'm just. In a just society. Yeah, please.
I mean, what I'm going to say is related to what Drishta was saying, but I feel like, I mean, actually, like say the story of Gautam Buddha, but I mean, that's just a story. I don't know if it's true or not, but that kind of, I've seen in activists and stuff where actually they have a vision for, like maybe the last one or two, out of to help more people or universal thing. So but many times their relationships with the co-workers, with their partners, their families gets abandoned.
Yep.
Like even Gautam Buddha, like he left his family, right, to find some truth, to help the world or whatever. And so it feels like there's something incongruous about leaving like your primary responsibility is for a larger cause until the first is stable. It doesn't to me it doesn't make sense. But I'm just wondering about that because many people say that for the larger good they're sacrificing a relationship or family or the immediate community or something like that. And I was just wondering about
How we see this here, right? So that's a very good question, because see, that's why I said this table is for looking at yourself, placing yourself somewhere on this table, not for others, first of all. Because if you are able to place yourself correctly here, then only will you be able to place somebody else correctly here, right? First that, because whatever you are aware in yourself, you can detect in the others. Second thing about people who have been in past, right? I know you for 1 year now, but I know you a little bit because we have interacted just a few days in that last 1 year. I know Veda a lot more, Aksa in between what I know of two of you, right? Because we have lived together. But there are people like say Gandhiji. I've never lived with him. I've only heard of him, right? And I heard of him through people in between. I've never lived with him, so I don't know him. I just heard of him, and now I make a guess what Gandhiji was like, right? I know a little bit of you, so I can say something about you. I can say something about Veda. I can say something about Aksa, right? But people have not. What we know about Buddha is not what he lived. We hear about Buddha is what is now remaining in our tradition, or what he said. It could be like the Chinese whisper game. What he said and what we are getting, there might be huge gap. We don't know. So what happens? How does things go forward in human tradition over generations? So there have to be Buddhas in each generation. Then only you can know what a Buddha is like, what his journey is like. Then only can you evaluate. I can evaluate Drishta, Drishta can evaluate. We both can mutually evaluate each other because we live with each other. Right? I can't evaluate Buddha right now because I don't have clue what he was like. Because there is no tradition of Buddha. And even this, what we are talking about, if we don't live it, and there is no tradition, no multiplication of humans, this also will become bookish, and this will also get, like we are trying to translate it in English. Some distortion is taking place there. Then somebody else will come and change it. Some distortion will take place. So knowledge is not carried forward in words or in books or in songs and literature. Knowledge is carried forward in living human beings. You have to become authentic in terms of that. Then only can it move forward. So this conflict now, we're coming to that part of the story. Now we're talking about story, we're not talking about the Buddha now, because we don't know Buddha. So this story, which is used to say like there is always a conflict between the family's good and the well-being of all, right? Existential. See, that story is coming from a place where this journey is for breaking away from pain. Right? Sadness is the reality. Right? So for this, the source of sadness is this world. So if you have that message, then it is not material what is happening to the family. Whereas relationships is the first source of happiness. So you can't bypass family. Unless until you are able to live with awareness in family, you can't live with awareness with community or with anybody else. What by family I mean is not what you're born in, but with whom you are committed. You already are committed with some people. If you can't live with them, then who will you live with? They're the most supportive to you. If we can't live with them in harmony, who will we live in harmony with? How can we live in harmony with anyone else? And this is about awareness, consciousness, right? Our family members are also conscious beings. Harmony has to be lived here. Here you'll have maximum overlaps. They will be able to scrutinize each other very carefully to help each other grow. Here is the maximum commitment. Social leader will come and go. But family stays with you together and they can help you grow if it functions on basis of knowledge. If it doesn't function on basis of knowledge, then it can also be hell. We all know that. Does that address? Okay. So this table is for placing yourself. Where am I? It is for looking at. These three columns are the most important. These names are not so important. These three columns. What am I? How am I functioning? For this, you need to understand each and every word of this. Then only will you be able to identify yourself.
Is it possible that the demonic human is not helpless?
Not?
Is not helpless. He is just cruel and deceitful.
From it depends on when you are observing yourself. Say, suppose I am a demonic human being. So, and there are a lot of moments when I don't feel helpless. Some moments when I also feel helpless. When a bigger demon comes and stands in front of me. Right? But predominantly, they are more cruel and deceitful than being helpless.
So, this is just like out of context. But suppose a human being is he becomes aware that he is in the inhuman, or if he is in the inhuman range.
Yeah.
So does all the discussion about this make him very uncomfortable?
No. Why will it make uncomfortable? In fact, you've been able to place yourself and you know where you want to go. And now you also have some idea rudimentary idea how you can go about it. So you have the destination and you have the path. Now all you have to do is take the decision and start walking on the path.
So somewhere he will have to let go of his primary motives, which is food, rest, fear, and sex. So
Yeah.
somewhere he'll have to let go of those primary motives and look beyond those primary motives.
Yeah. So it won't happen that you can change people's nature overnight. I can't change my nature overnight. But I can always focus on this, the constructive part, for some time, 1 hour in a day. For a 8 days workshop, you can focus on this. Right? Here it doesn't matter what food is there, what quality is there, what sort of rest is there. All are attending this workshop with a lot of discomfort because you're looking at something higher. So for that short time, you can do it. That has some influence. Some of these desires withdraw for some time. Then slowly expand this. That will get reduced. So stepwise process, within say a year or 2 or 3, you could be totally out of it.
I'm not sure that we can be totally out of it. Even I feel in human plus there will be some of those aspects of the basic motivators, because the physical body is there. So I guess the basic motives will not disappear. I'm assuming in the human plus also.
See, like when we were talking about the parent-child relationship, I was mentioning that you give bath to the baby so that it becomes learned and responsible. You're feeding the baby so that it becomes learned and responsible. You're sending them to school so that they become learned and responsible. So the motivation is what? So has it replaced? For an aware parent, right now what do we do? Our child should have this much resources, this much facility. I must arrange this much for my child. Right? So our motivations are different, and there it is different. They both are not together. They can't exist together. Any of these three can't exist with this. But when you are focused on this, these become regulated. They come into their optimum range. Right now they are haywire. The food is supposed to provide you nutrition and health. Food is the biggest cause for ill health. Food is supposed to provide joy in the family. Isn't it? When we make something like somebody's birthday or marriage or something, we celebrate with food. Food is a way of celebration. Right? So for relationships, we can always have, we won't stop eating. But eating is not the primary motive. We eat together. Togetherness is the primary motive.
The terms appear to be stronger than the context. Demonic, human, I think we can...
please suggest better terms.
Subhuman maybe.
Okay, subhuman, fine. I have no attachment to these terms. Okay. My main essence is this. This is the main thing. These three columns.
What he said, uncomfort, discomfort. So I think that is related somewhat to this.
Okay. I suggest one simple, very simple idea. This chart and the values chart need a little bit more dwelling upon it. So why don't we digest this while we digest the lunch, and then come back at 3 o'clock? Then we can recontinue the discussion. Okay. Note it, please. Note it. We'll do it when you come back. Okay. Yeah.